everyone, my name is Marie, welcome to my channel, and welcome to another speed build. So for today's video, I have something very special. I'm very excited about this. I think this is the most fun I've ever had with a build in The Sims 4. I know that that's an insanely bold statement, and I have fun with basically every build that I do, but this one's just so special. This is my first ever Harry Potter themed build, and as you could probably already tell from the title, this is going to be the Burrow, which is the Weasley's house in the Wizarding World. Of course, I think most of us are familiar with this house and with Harry Potter as well. Maybe you're not, but I think most of us are if you click this video, that is. And I had so much fun with this. I love Harry Potter so much. It is very, very near and dear to my heart. I grew up with Harry Potter. In my mind, I grew up in the Wizarding World. I mean, when I was younger, and I was kind of growing up as the books were coming out, and then later also the movies, of course. But it just meant so much to me, and in my brain, I just lived in the Wizarding World. I remember as a little kid just going about my day, but just kind of pretending that I was a wizard, or that I was trying to hide the fact that I was a wizard. I know this is very cringy, but this is me when I was, I don't know, like 8 years old. I'm not exactly sure how old I was, but like way back in the day. So that's just to say that I literally grew up with this, and I just love it so much. It's so near and dear to my heart. It's my childhood, it's my safe space, and yet, weirdly enough, I've never done a Harry Potter inspired build in The Sims. And that's so weird because literally you can build anything in this game, and for some reason I just never thought to do, I mean, I've definitely thought to do like a Harry Potter build before, but I never actually did it because it can be a little bit intimidating. You know, it's very near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, and a lot of people have like a specific maybe view on these builds, or maybe, I'm not exactly sure. For some reason, it just seemed a little bit intimidating to me. It's kind of the same with, you may know that I did my Gilmore Girls builds series here on the channel as well, and it's kind of the same with that, where it's sort of intimidating because so many people know these builds and they're familiar with them and will probably also have an opinion on it, which is obviously fine, but sometimes that's just like a little intimidating, and then that will keep me from actually getting started on something like that. And that's definitely the same with Harry Potter inspired builds, even though they've definitely been requested. And as I was doing or working on my Gilmore Girls builds and my videos as well, people have definitely been suggesting Harry Potter builds, and also specifically the Burrow. So I really took that as my sign to actually sit down and try it for myself. And I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that you guys suggested that I sit down and try this, because like I said, I don't think I've ever had more fun building anything in The Sims 4. This was really, really fun for me. And the Burrow, clearly, as you can probably tell, I'm just playing around with the shape of it at the moment. The Burrow is a very tall building. I believe the story behind it is that the Weasleys, the family that lives here, as they got more children, they magically added more rooms onto the house because they have a very big family. Let me count, actually. We have, I mean, there's obviously Arthur and Molly, the parents. Then we have, well, Ron. We have the twins, Fred and George. We have Ginny, we have Percy, and then we have Bill and Charlie. So that's 7 children and 2 adults. So that is 9 Sims total. There's definitely some age gap between the older brothers and the younger siblings. I think the younger or the older brothers, as far as the series goes and the story goes, or not, it's not the series, but like the series of books and the movies, I guess. As far as that goes, Charlie and Bill don't live at home anymore. They haven't lived at home for a very long time, I feel like, at this point as well. So yeah, but you know, as they got more kids, they kind of magically added more rooms onto the house. So that's why it's very like stacked, and the shape is just insanely whimsical and weird and just very different. And that was so much fun for me to do personally in The Sims. I just, like I said, I don't think I've ever had more fun building anything. And that's because this definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone, clearly. The shape of this build is so different and so whimsical, and definitely just, there's nothing like the Burrow. So yeah, it definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone that way. And I'm just really happy with the way it came out. I was very scared to sit down and do the floor plan, but it actually, I mean, it took me a second second. I left most of the footage of me trying to figure out the floor plan in, because I think for the Burrow especially, it would be fun to kind of see how that came together. But surprisingly, it kind of came together pretty naturally, and the rooms kind of spoke for themselves, and it was just really, really nice. We have we have a lot of staircases in here as well. It's not as magical and iconic of a staircase moment as you see in one of the movies. I think, which movie is that? Where you can kind of see, I think, Molly all the way down the stairs, and then there's Ginny, and then there's Hermione somewhere, and they're all looking down, and like you can see this insane staircase kind of going all the way up to the top of the build almost. I couldn't really recreate that in here. That didn't really work out, but still, we have a lot of staircases. They're all in the same area, and it definitely just sort of worked out that way. So that was so fun for me to kind of figure out and kind of just have it all come together in that sense. That was very satisfying. This house has, oh my goodness, let me count again. How many bedrooms did I manage to fit in here? Way more than I thought I would. We have a room for Molly and Arthur, for Ron, for Ginny, for the twins, and then 2 more bedrooms upstairs that belonged at some point to Bill, Charlie, and also Percy. So that's 6 bedrooms total, which is definitely not bad, I want to say. At this point, it's just the twins that are sharing a room, and then for Ron, I definitely put down like a sleepover little bed, just kind of pretending that Harry is probably staying over. And then I was going to do that for Ginny's room for Hermione as well, but I didn't really end up having the space for it, so I didn't end up doing that. But you could if you wanted to, so it's kind of fun in that way as well. And then, yeah, for the rest, it's just, you can really see the exterior come together. It was mostly just me playing around with bump outs, little roof portions. We have some roof details here. The Life and Death expansion pack really came in handy for this build. For example, those holes in the roof were absolutely perfect for the Burrow, so I definitely placed a lot of those as well. And then we just have a mumbo jumbo of like different types of wallpapers as well. We have a lot of different windows. I found the window situation to be very difficult for this one. As you can probably tell, I'm definitely stalling putting the windows on this house. Sometimes you can see me place a window every now and then somewhere and then swapping them around and getting rid of them, because it's like the fine line between it doesn't matter, but it also kind of matters, you know? It has to be a mismatch of different windows, and it has to like not go together. But then at the same time, it kind of has to go together because it doesn't go together. I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but I was kind of trying to find the middle ground between it being completely chaotic and chaotic, but it makes sense for what it is. And that was definitely something I've never really done before, so it was something I was trying to figure out on the go as I was doing all of this. And it was definitely a lot of fun. For the exterior shape-wise, I was definitely drawing inspiration from what the home looks like in the movies. But the magic and the beauty of the Harry Potter series or stories is that it's a movie, but it's movies, but it's also books. So I could also kind of draw from my own fantasy and kind of try, that was really fun for me to kind of sit down and try to remember what I imagined the Burrow to look like before I'd ever seen it in the movies. And it's kind of basically just impossible because it's been so long. I was a literal child when I read the books before having seen any movies, because at some point there was still books coming out, but there was also movies coming out, so that was kind of just going side by side. But there was definitely a point in time where I was reading the books before having ever seen any of the movies because they didn't exist. And I was kind of trying to think back, and like I said, it was kind of impossible, but at the same time it was kind of fun to sort of reinvent, kind of to sit down and try to forget about what it looks like in the movies and try to just, you know, let go of that image and see what else I could come up with. And definitely it looks a lot like what it looks like in the movies, especially in its like base. But yeah, it was just really fun to kind of let go of that image and just add little add-ons and bump outs and roof pieces where in the movies I don't think they're actually there. And in the pictures I could find, they weren't there either, but it's so fun because if you look up the Burrow on Pinterest, for example, you'll find just a lot of different people's ideas and what they think the Burrow looks like. and just different people's interpretations, and it's so much fun. I think these days a lot of those images are also just AI generated, but at the same time that's still a lot of fun, and just different sketches and drawings and things of the Burrow from different people's minds, basically. And that was just so much fun for me to look up and to kind of see, and all those images together kind of formed its own build, its own home in my brain, and that's what this is. Obviously, it also had to work in The Sims, so I had to simify it in a way as well. But here you can see I'm trying to work on the floor plan, and I was so surprised by the size of the inside of this home. For some reason, I thought it was really small. I knew that the ground floor was going to be pretty spacious already because that one just turned out to be a little bit bigger. But then I thought that the stories on top, like the second and third and fourth floor, were going to be really small. But surprisingly, they're kind of nice. So on the second floor, we have just Molly's and Arthur's bedroom, and then a staircase going up to the third floor where we have a bathroom, a hall bath that is, a room for Ron, a room for Ginny, and a room for the twins. And then there is sort of like an attic, I guess, with two more bedrooms that once belonged to Bill, Percy, and Charlie, and probably Percy and Bill. I'm not actually sure which one of the brothers is the oldest brother, Bill or Charlie, but at some point Percy probably shared a room with one of his older brothers, and then the older brother moved out, and then at some point Percy also moved out. So I'm not sure where in the timeline I'm decorating this home for, but neither of the three oldest brothers actually live here still. So Charlie, Percy, and Bill all have moved out at this point, but we do have the rest of them. So the twins, Ron and Ginny, they all live here. The parents, of course, and then Harry kind of stays over at the moment as well. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Also, I built this for the most part in fall. I thought that was really nice. At first, my initial idea actually was to build the Burrow in the snow and make like a winter Burrow for Christmas and put up a Christmas tree and stuff. And I really liked that idea. But then as I was looking at, like, I tried the different weather types and I made it like all snowed over, and it looked really magical and cute, but it also definitely lost a little bit of its detail because I had done landscaping at that point. I had done terrain paint and everything, and I just liked that too much to be like invisible because of the snow. So I decided to have it autumnal instead of wintry. But yeah, I actually did want to do like a wintry Harry Potter build because it's so fitting. I feel like it's Harry Potter season for most of us, people that like Harry Potter, that is, obviously. But for a lot of us, I feel like it's Harry Potter season where people are doing their yearly marathon or watch through of the movies. Me and my boyfriend included, we are currently on the fourth one. We watched it last night, but I can't lie, it's kind of embarrassing. We started it a little late, and then at some point we got a little sleepy and we decided to continue it today. So we're continuing it today. But yeah, we're definitely on the fourth movie at this point, which is so much fun. So yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to start some of these Harry Potter builds. I definitely want to do winter inspired builds as well. Of course, as I was doing this and as I was feeling so inspired by the Wizarding World and doing more builds from it, I was kind of thinking like, what else do I want to build from the Wizarding World? People immediately, I was building this over on stream, so I was just talking about that with my chat, and people were immediately suggesting Luna Lovegood's house, which is insane. That house is insane shape-wise. I'm not even sure if that's doable in The Sims at all, but I think I can maybe just like draw inspiration from it and build something similar. So I think that's going to be a really fun one to at least try at some point. Then Grimmel Place has been suggested. I think that's really fun, and I definitely think that that's going to be doable, especially now that we have the multi-unit lots from Forend. I think that's going to be really, really fun. So I think I want to give that one a go. And then, of course, Hogwarts came to mind, but oh my god, that is, speaking of intimidating, that's intimidating. So I'm not actually sure if I'll do Hogwarts, but I think it will be fun to at least do some room builds inspired by Hogwarts. So we could do the Great Hall, but make it Christmas. So we can have a bunch of floating candles. We can have a nice Christmas tree. I actually think that that would be really fun and very inspiring. So that's definitely something I want to give a go. And then maybe I can just do all the common rooms for all the houses separately. That could also be kind of fun for room builds. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But if you have other Harry Potter inspired or Harry Potter build requests, let me know in the comment section down below, because I want to know. I can't promise I'll do all of them, but you know, inspiration and suggestions is always more than welcome. So I think that's definitely something you can leave in the comment section if you want to. For the rest, here you can see that we're working on some landscaping. I decided to add some ponds here. I think that the Burrow is located near some water, so I decided to just add some ponds to the lot. We're also building on a pretty spacious lot here. This is in Henford-on-Bagley. I should have mentioned that in the beginning of the video, but we're building the Burrow here in Henford-on-Bagley, which is of course the world that came with the, I always call it the chicken pack, but that's not what it's called. It's cottage living. I had to think about that for a second. Yeah, it came with cottage living, and we're building here on a, I believe it's a 50 by 40. It's called the Two Old Mill Lane. I can barely read it for me. It's really small in the corner, but yeah, it's that's the lot, the actual lot title where we built it, or the lot name, I should say. So yeah, that's where we built it. It was pretty spacious, so that's why I decided to fill up some of the space with a little bit of water. We also have a gardening area. I decided to give them some chickens. I thought that was really nice. I also gave them a shed already pretty much in the beginning of the video. When I was done with the main shape of the house, I added a little shed, which is very rounded. It has a round roof. You can definitely see that in a lot of pictures or like sketches of the Burrow. I'm not really remembering it from the movies, but I think it's there. I just can't really recall it. In the movies, it goes so fast. Like in the books, you spend a significant amount of time at the Burrow, but in the movies, it just goes so fast that you can barely catch a glimpse of it. Of course, in the first movie, the house is really shown off because it's like the first glimpse the viewer gets at the Burrow and like the Wizarding World and like what a house would look like. So yeah, of course, that's when they show it off a little bit, but in the rest of the movies, it just goes so fast. And I remember from reading the books, I haven't read them in a while. I can't lie. I mean, in a while, that means I think I finished them for the gazillionth time about 2 years ago. So it's definitely time for me to reread them. I'm actually so jealous. My boyfriend has never read the Harry Potter books before. And he has definitely watched the movies. He kind of grew up with the movies as well, but he didn't actually ever read the books. So he actually just now started reading them for the very, very first time, and I'm so jealous. Like, I wish I could read the books for the first time and experience it for the first time. Also, I'm very thankful for the fact that, like, my childhood and, like, the nostalgia it holds for me and the safe space it is because I read the books as a child and I loved it so much. So I wouldn't want to lose that, but just the experience of reading the books for the very first time, I think, it's such a once in a lifetime experience, you know? I might be very dramatic about this. I get very dramatic when it comes to Harry Potter because it's so near and dear to my heart. Oh, also, I placed a rubber ducky in the pond because you probably know, I mean, if you know, you know that Arthur Weasley is trying to figure out the function of a rubber duck. If you don't know, Arthur Weasley is very much just like obsessed with Muggle artifacts and like stuff that they have in the Muggle world that they don't use in the Wizarding world because they don't need it. And Arthur loves that kind of stuff. And yeah, he definitely asks Harry at some point, I think it's in the first book, movie, both, where he's like, Harry, what exactly is the function of a rubber duck? So we thought that that was a really fun little Easter egg to kind of use. So I placed a duck in the pond, so I guess Arthur figured it out. But I put a rubber ducky in some other places in the house as well to just kind of, you know, kind of tell that story of him trying to figure out the function of it. I thought that was really cute. And then, yeah, we also have some chickens. We have a nice gardening area in the back. Like I said, we have that garage or shed or whatever you want to call it. Later on, I actually decided to also place some Quidditch hoops. I can't believe I didn't think of that sooner, but yeah, we definitely have to have those because they definitely play some Quidditch every now and then when they're at the Burrow as well. So I tried to kind of reflect that too. And then I also at some point placed a whole bunch of gnomes in the garden because gnomes are just they're so classic, they're so iconic, and I had to use them for this build. I think the garden gnomes in the story, in the books, they aren't nice gnomes. They're basically like weeds. I think Molly actually sends her kids out into the garden every now and then to get rid of the gnomes because they break stuff or they ruin the plants or the crops. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, she sends her kids out into the garden every now and then to get rid of them or to kind of hunt them down, I think. So I thought that was a cute little thing to also add. So yeah, we definitely have a bunch of gnomes in the yard at some point as well. Then here in this shed, I decided to place some skill building items. So we have a woodworking bench in here, and I also ended up placing a cauldron. Of course, I felt like it was nice to have like an extra cauldron. I also put a cauldron in the kitchen, but you know, us muggles, a lot of us have like, you know, an extra fridge or an extra freezer in the garage. So I kind of took that concept and turned it into like a Wizarding World concept where I put an extra cauldron in their garage. I thought that was kind of funny. So that's what I did. And you may have noticed that I actually also parked the blue car out front by the garage. That is classic. It's the Ford Anglia, I want to say. I know nothing about cars, but I think that's what I remember it being called. That, of course, gets used in the second book, The Chamber of Secrets, of course, where Ron and Harry actually fly it to school and then it gets ruined and it's a whole thing. But yeah, that car, the flying car, I should add, if you're not familiar, plays a very important part in the second, and also later on, no, I think in the second? Yeah, mostly in the second. I was gonna say maybe do they see it in the third book as well at some point? But no, I think it's just the second. I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, that car is very important and a major part to the story at some point, so I thought it would be fun to park it there. Of course, after the second book or movie, it's broken and it drives off into the Forbidden Forest, never to be seen again, basically, except for when it helps out Ron and Harry when they visit Aragog, like the spiders, and like that's the whole thing. But yeah, basically, I don't think after that it ever comes back home. So it's somewhere before that in the timeline, but at the same time, in my version of this build, Percy doesn't live at home anymore, so that really doesn't add up. So, like I said, I'm not sure where in the storyline this would actually take place, but it doesn't really matter. I was just having a lot of fun with this build and trying to simify it and just trying to take little aspects of the movies or books or both and just kind of trying to represent that in a way here, if like as far as the game let me. So the blue little car, I actually didn't think we had anything like the Ford Anglia in The Sims, but this blue car, it's a debug car from Cottage Living, actually came pretty close. I'm not actually sure if it is from Cottage Living. Maybe it's a different pack. But I felt like this car was pretty good. We have another small blue car that kind of looks like this one. It's a little different, and it has a white roof, which I think comes even closer to the car that they have in the books and the movies. But I just liked this one a little bit better shape-wise. I thought it looked a little bit more similar, so I decided to go with this one instead. But yeah, here you can see me placing around all those little gnomes. I thought that was so much fun. I tried to make the landscaping not too overgrown. I mean, it's definitely very overgrown, but I feel like the Burrow is in kind of like, it's built in kind of like a bare area. Like it's not foresty by any means. There's definitely trees around, but it's more of like a flat kind of area. So that's kind of what I try to recreate. But you know me and my Sims builds, I love things to be overgrown. I love using lots of trees. So I definitely did that, but it still at the same time doesn't look like super foresty or overgrown or anything. So I think I kind of found a nice middle ground there where it's kind of similar to what it looks like in the movies, but also it still has that Sims charm and just like my kind of signature Sims landscaping, I guess you could almost say. So yeah, that's what I went for. And then here we are getting started with the interior, and I loved doing this interior as much as I did the exterior, which is weird because I'm way more of an exterior builder. Like, I do interiors clearly as well, but usually I just have a lot more fun doing my exteriors. That's just, for me personally, that's the most like funnest part. The funnest part, does that make any sense? You probably know what I mean, of building. I just love it so much. It's my favorite part. But then interior has to be done as well, and I definitely do have fun with that as well, because you can tell more of a story with that too, and like add little details. But yeah, especially for this build, I had so much fun with it. And as you can see, I actually created a makeshift fireplace, which was a first for me. I've never done that before. But the fireplaces in the game are just too small, because we have to have a fireplace that actually fits a human being. They need to be able to stand there and travel with flute powder, you know what I mean? So a in-game fireplace just wasn't gonna cut it. They're all way too small. So I decided here to create my own, including some floating candles, which is not something that they have in the books or the movies, I don't think. But the floating candles are such an iconic moment from the Harry Potter movies that I was trying to find an excuse to use them. So I just raised up a bunch of these candles. I think they're from Love Struck, if I'm not mistaken. They're debug candles. And I just kind of raised them up and kind of rotated them a little bit with the tool mod, and I just think that that is so pretty. The fireplace is absolutely 100% functional. As you can see, it's kind of visible where I put the fireplace. I kept that in sight so that you can still click it and your sim can reach it, so they can light it, they can warm themselves. It is completely functional. I haven't actually let it like burn for that long, so I'm not sure if anything is just like too close and gonna catch on fire all the time. I'm not sure, but I think you should be fine. In any case, it's functional. I'll show you how it works when we do a little tour in real time of this build, and I show you the entire thing in real time, of course, at the end of the speed build. So I'll show you what the fireplace, or like how it actually works, but it's very self-explanatory, and it's definitely just a functional fireplace. But then here, when you walk through the front door, you basically enter straight into the living room here. And the Burrow, if you're not familiar, like I said, I feel like most of us are, but the Burrow is just so cozy. It is definitely messy, and nothing is like put in a straight line pretty much, and it's a mismatch of different furniture pieces. Everything is very old, very worn. The Weasleys do not have a lot of money, so they make do with what they have. They have each other, they have family, and that's the most important to them. And their home is definitely old and messy and mismatched, but it's so insanely cozy. So I was trying to capture those vibes and make it very cluttered and messy. And I was having so much fun just browsing through the catalog, trying to find clutter items that I thought would make sense. Thankfully, we have werewolves these days, which has a lot of cool stuff that's very Harry Potter-y in my opinion. I actually remember when werewolves first came out, I was looking at the items and immediately I was like, okay, this is definitely reminding me and inspiring me to do a Harry Potter build, and then I just for some reason never did. So yeah, I'm using a lot of werewolves in this build in general, but then also a lot of Realm of Magic, of course. You could see me place those broomsticks on the wall, and as soon as I found those, I was like, oh, we gotta just put some Quidditch rings, like a little Quidditch field. It's only half a Quidditch field because we only have one side, like 3 of the rings instead of 6. So it's definitely only half a Quidditch field, but I thought it would be cute. I mean, is it ideal that the rings are like literally right here by the house? Definitely not. I feel like maybe the bludgers are what caused some of those holes in the roof. You know what I mean? These rings are very close to the house, but of course, this was all the space that I had because the lot is only so big, so I couldn't really place it anywhere else. I definitely also put some bats against those pillars there to kind of represent those bats from Quidditch. So yeah, I just thought that that was really fun. I could definitely see the kids just playing some Quidditch there and, you know, accidentally hitting balls into the house. That's definitely happened before probably, and then they have to fix it with magic. It's just something that happens here. As long as they have fun, you know, that's what's most important. But yeah, I just absolutely love those brooms on the wall. I think they're so fun. And for the rest, this house just has a lot of bookcases and random little shelves and step stools and little desks and just different types of little nooks. And I, like I said, just placed a lot of clutter in this house. Also, I placed this trunk. I know this like suitcase thing from Lovestruck has an entirely different purpose. Okay, I realize that, I definitely do. But that suitcase is so perfect, especially in that brown swatch. It looks like the Harry Potter suitcases, does it not? It's just absolutely perfect for that. So I had to place it in this house. I know that I'm probably gonna get some comments from people that know the real function of those suitcases from the Lovestruck pack, but it's fine. We're going to pretend that it's not that, and it's just the Hogwarts suitcases. Maybe people are packing for school, maybe the kids are home for Thanksgiving break. I'm not sure. That's probably not a thing because Thanksgiving is an American holiday, but you know what I mean. Maybe they're home for fall break or whatever, and there's just a couple of those suitcases scattered around. They're doing some laundry, they're repacking to go back to school. I'm not exactly sure, but you know, there's a couple of those suitcases around. I realize what they're for. It's fine. Let's pretend that they're Harry Potter suitcases. That's all I'm gonna say. I also thought it'd be fun to place a piano here in the living room. I could totally see that piano being Bewitched, where it just kind of plays its music by its own, and Molly just enjoys her. I think she has like one specific artist that she loves. I'm not exactly recalling who it is or what type of music it is, but maybe she bewitches the piano to sort of play music by that artist. I think that would kind of be really cute. And then I just placed a whole bunch of knickknacks from like little clutter items from the Magic pack. Like I said, also from the Werewolves pack. We have a bunch of random little potions around. There's a bunch of just wands scattered around the house as well, and just a whole bunch of random little bookcases. The floor plan for this house is pretty weird, which definitely suits it too. Essentially, we just have this living room space here where you basically walk into when you enter through the front door, and then behind the fireplace there's just this wall kind of dividing the build in two. And in that other room is where we have the classic kitchen and dining room as well. I also remember to place a clock. I put it behind the dining table, but in the movies, I don't think it's behind the dining table. It's, I think, somewhere else, just nearby the kitchen. But that's where I place it anyway. Because, you know, in the movies and also in the books, they have this iconic clock that has basically like an arm, is that what you call it, for each person of the household, and it tells Molly where they are, where said person is at a specific moment in time. So it's really, really cool. Unfortunately, we don't have anything like it, and it's kind of hard to make something like that just with using debug or whatever. So I didn't really do that, but I placed a nice clock in the living room anyway, or in the dining room, I should say, to kind of resemble that, you know, that item in this house. And in the kitchen, I was having a lot of fun with it. I used these countertops from Horse Ranch. I thought those were nice because they were very worn and kind of old looking. And then we sort of have some mismatched cabinets as well, and we have a mismatched sink, and then I used that really old stove. I thought that was nice. And then at first I used a fridge from the Realm of Magic pack, because when is there ever a chance to use that weird looking, magical looking fridge? I felt like this was the moment for it to shine, but it just looked way too luxurious and way too high end. It's more of like a fridge you would find in the Malfoy's house. I don't know. That's kind of what I feel like they would have. That's actually a fun thing to build as well. The Malfoy Manor? That could actually be really cool. Ooh, I think I just gave myself an idea with that one. I feel like Ravenwood would be a really nice place to build the Malfoy Manor, actually. That's kind of fun. Maybe I should give that a go. But yeah, here in the kitchen, of course, we have this classic dining area. I have a large table with 8 chairs, which is not really enough. I think in the movies, their table is even longer, so I could have maybe done a longer table even, but I just liked how this fit sort of like in the middle of the kitchen, and all the mismatched chairs made me so happy. I thought that was really cute. Behind the dining table, you can see that clock that I was talking about, and also just a whole bunch of different shelves that I cluttered up with different little knickknacks, those weird artifacts, like I said, a lot from Werewolves as well. And then on the kitchen table, I just couldn't stop. I was scrolling through the catalog and I kept finding these tiny little items also in debug that I was like, okay, I have to add this to the dining table. So we have a bunch of books, we have a bunch of mail because the owls probably delivered mail in the morning. So there's a whole bunch of packages and just random letters and stuff on the table. There is some produce from the garden, some groceries. I don't know. These people don't really go grocery shopping, I don't think, but I thought it was a nice thing to add anyway. Just like a little brown bag with groceries I thought was really cute. So that's what I did. And we just have a random little knickknacks. I think I even added another rubber ducky to the dining table as well because, you know, it's fun. And then here we have this window that I tried to clutter up. It was kind of difficult because these windows don't have a slot. I feel like those windows definitely should have slots to clutter them up, but they don't. So I was kind of trying to makeshift, like kind of place clutter in there using my red OMSP shelf that always helps me clutter things up nicely. So that's what I did there in the window as well. And then for the rest, I definitely wanted this kitchen to still be functional. So I left this sort of middle counter by the window. I left that one free of decorations, so your Sims can actually use that for cooking. And then for the rest, everything is definitely cluttered up. Also, something that I really wanted to represent in this kitchen are the self-cleaning dishes. I think there's a shot in the movies where Harry is in the Burrow, I think for the first time. They enter the house through the kitchen. It's not actually the first movie. I think I said the first movie earlier on. It's the second movie, of course, in the second book, I think, where he sees the Burrow for the first time. Or am I just getting confused now? I'm not exactly sure. I'm getting all my facts mixed up here, but it's fine. But yeah, those self-cleaning dishes, in any case, he sees them at some point and there's like a shot of them. So I tried to kind of resemble that with a kind of like a cup and a sponge floating in the sink. I really hope that translates through the gallery, but that's what I tried to do. And then I also have a self kind of sweeping broom in the kitchen set up as well, where I just kind of tooled a broom into place, where I also put some dust by it and like a little bucket. I thought that was really cute, and that's kind of trying to resemble a self-sweeping, magically enchanted broom, of course, as you have in the Burrow, because that makes sense. And then for the rest, I just definitely had a little bit of space left here in the kitchen, and I wasn't sure at first what to do with it. So I decided to just create this little potions area here. We have these really cool shelving units from Realm of Magic that are just so perfect for a build like this, of course, because they're magical. So I decided to create a little potions area here. We just have a lot of random potions throughout this house for clutter in general, but I just thought a nice potion area here with a shelf with some like magical ingredients and some herbs and stuff like that would just make sense to have. So that's what I did here. There's definitely a lot of routing space in this house. Like, it's very cluttered, but at the same time, I feel like it feels pretty spacious and not too like suffocating, if that makes sense. And I think that was a nice middle ground to kind of go for here. I also placed a gemology table in this build. I put one in the garage too, but then I also placed one here in the kitchen and dining because I just had space left over, so I thought it would be nice to do that. But I feel like gemology is a really nice hobby for the Sims to have. I could totally see Molly being into gemology and just, I don't know, mixing some magic there with the crystals. I'm not exactly sure, but I just thought that that was a really nice thing to add. So I did that, or maybe Jenny is into that. That could definitely also be a thing. So yeah, I added another gemology table here, also because it just looks like a magical item. So I had to kind of place it here. I really liked it. And then for the rest in this corner here, I just cluttered it up with a bunch of random stuff. It's basically just a little storage nook. I was gonna close it off at first, but I liked it way better with all the space just being open. I don't know why, but it just felt way more friendly and airy, and I just liked it better that way. So yeah, we just basically just have this big open space with a bunch of random little nooks, essentially, and the kitchen and dining in the middle, sort of. So that's what I went for, and I think it turned out really, really fun. Here we also have a back door, of course. I think in the movies it's shown in a different area. It's more so there where like I have the kitchen all set up. But I just put it here off to the side, and that just basically enters to the backyard. I also placed down some paw prints, some muddy paw prints on the floor. I thought that was cute, and maybe it could resemble Sirius. Again, I'm not sure where and how that fits into the timeline, but I was just trying to find different knickknacks that could resemble stuff that happens at some point or another during these books or movies, and just kind of putting them all together, even though timeline-wise that wouldn't make any sense, but I still feel like it's kind of cute to do it that way. So that's what I did. And then we're actually getting started with the bedrooms. The first bedroom that we encounter is the one on the first floor, and that one's going to be for Molly and Arthur. Also, this house has 2 bathrooms. I feel like I should just mention that. I'm not sure how many bathrooms the Burrow is actually described to have, maybe just 1, but I'm not exactly sure. In any case, for gameplay purposes, you know, if you wanted to actually use this house and you want to live here with a big family, say a family or like a household of 8 Sims, you're definitely going to want at least 2 bathrooms. So I decided to go with 2. So we have 1 bathroom on the ground floor off of the kitchen, basically, or like the side area of the kitchen. There's a full bathroom there, and then there's also going to be a full bathroom on the 3rd floor where we have most of the bedrooms for the kids. But then this little in-between floor, essentially, which is just the 2nd floor, is where we have the parents, so Molly's and Arthur's bedroom. And I really like this bedroom. I was trying to go for a little bit of a different layout than what I would usually do for this shape of room, because it's a different build and the entire shape of this entire house is just different. So I felt like I should try to sort of continue that in the bedrooms as well. So we have a bed on a diagonal. We have a very big fireplace in the room, which is not something I ever do for bedrooms, but it's just so fun. Like, especially for bedrooms that are this size, it's pretty small. But I think it's so cute that most of the space in this room is taken up by this giant fireplace. And then it's just a very cozy room. We have a bunch of dark colors, a nice bed. Like I said, the Life and Death expansion pack was perfect, absolutely perfect for this build. So I used that bed in their bedroom, and it's so, so pretty. At first, I really wanted to use that 4-poster bed from the Realm of Magic pack because it's so pretty. And again, I barely ever have a chance to use it because it's just such an aesthetic. That entire bed is just an aesthetic on its own, and it was just too high-end and luxurious for this house, in my personal opinion. I think it would look really cool, again, in like a Malfoy Manor inspired type build, so I think, like I said, that's pretty inspiring to me. I feel like I kind of want to do that at some point. But then the second bedroom here that we're furnishing is for Ron. And as you can see, I also placed like a little sleeping mat kind of thing on the floor because Harry is probably staying over at the moment. I thought that would be really cute to kind of resemble as well. And I made Ron's bedroom orange because, you know, it's Ron. And then Ron is definitely a huge Quidditch fan. And I decided that the team that he roots for, I'm not exactly remembering which team he's rooting for, but I decided for some reason that the flags should all be orange to kind of resemble his support of that team. Now, I might have that completely wrong. I'm just not exactly sure what team he roots for usually, like what his favorite Quidditch team is and what color they are. I'm not sure. So I just went with Ron vibes, and Ron vibes, in my personal opinion, is orange. So I just went with a lot of orange. I think that's what the process, that like my thought process behind this was in any case. So that's what I did. You can also see me place, oh, this is so sad, but I placed that little cage on his desk. The cage from For Rent is perfect for like a little owl cage. And then I placed that owl decoration. It's actually a small sculpture, I think from Growing Together. It's like a little family of owls, because that's, I feel like, the only thing we have in the game that's owl related or like looks like an actual owl. There's more owl related stuff, but no like figurines or sculptures that actually look like an actual owl. So this is the only thing that I could find, and I placed it in that little cage. It's so sad, but to kind of like resemble an owl, maybe Hedwig just sitting in the cage. I'm not sure why she would be in her cage when she's here. I feel like Hedwig would always be free and just like kind of roaming around freely, but I think that would be kind of fun. And then I also placed some gold frogs in Ron's bedroom, representing some of the chocolate frogs that we have in the Wizarding World. Those golden frogs are actually very expensive artifacts from the Jungle Adventurer pack, but I thought they were a fun thing. Someone in chat actually suggested I place those to kind of resemble chocolate frogs, and I thought that was genius. So I went with it. Then we have the twins' bedroom here, which is a larger bedroom because they have to share it, and also because their bedroom essentially is a science lab, because the twins obviously are trying to invent all kinds of candy and like prank candy and basically prank anything. At some point during the story, they also open their own shop, like their prank shop, at Diagon Alley. So that's really cool. And I was kind of trying to represent that here in their bedroom. They have their personal little science lab here that Molly hates, probably because more often than not, they probably break something and then they have to magically fix it again. So it's probably not great, but yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to represent here in their bedroom for Fred and George, of course. And one of the items that I thought was perfect for that was actually the cupcake machine. I know it's ridiculous and it looks ridiculous, and I don't think I've ever used the cupcake machine ever in any build that I've ever done, but I felt like if there was ever a chance to use it, this would be perfect, because we don't have that many things to kind of represent their like hobby or like passion or what they do, like inventing magic prank candy and selling it. I don't think it's just candy that they sell, right? There's other like magical prank sort of objects, I believe, that they sell, but I feel like the candy plays a really, really big part. So I was kind of trying to resemble that in their room here with just a bunch of sciencey looking items. We have that science table, which is actually a kid's toy, so they can't use that, but I thought it looked good in their room, so I placed it anyway. Then we have the cupcake machine, and we have like a little science looking table. I think it's from Strangerville, from the science lab. I thought that was really nice in there, so I went ahead and placed that. So yeah, their room is just basically one big science lab, and it's very, very messy. And then the smallest room in this on this floor is for Ginny. I thought that would be really cute to just, there's a fly in here, it's very annoying. But yeah, just a small little room with a bunch of pink. I absolutely love this wallpaper that I used. It's from the Realm of Magic pack, and it's just so, so pretty. I don't think I've ever used this color before, but I thought it was perfect for Ginny's room. So for Ginny's room, I tried to make it very girly. She has her own little desk with a journal. Let's hope it's not that one journal, you know what I'm talking about. It's just her own personal diary. That's what I'm hoping anyway. So I placed that on her desk. And then for the rest, just a bunch of little mismatched furniture items, slightly placed on an angle, you know, to kind of make it look a little bit more messy, but it's definitely very girly and cutesy, and I could totally see Ginny hanging out in this bedroom, definitely. It's so different than any of the other bedrooms, which is perfect because she's also the only girl, besides from Molly, of course, but the only girl when it comes to the siblings. So she has her own little safe space there that's all pink and girly and pretty. Then on this floor here, in between the bedrooms, we just have this nice bathroom. It's very, very simple. It just has a shower and then a sink and a tub. And then here up in the attic, we have two rooms that are currently not being used by anyone. They do have a bunch of guests always staying over, so I figured to kind of create this one storage room, and I stacked a bunch of beds to kind of represent that. They would magically just kind of put them in the bedrooms whenever they need to, if they have people staying over, you know, because there's always someone staying over at the Burrow, I feel like. So yeah, this is basically just a little storage room. That one's belonged to Charlie, I want to say. I placed some dragon inspired items here. I think I placed like a dragon toy and a dragon decoration on the wall to kind of represent Charlie in this household. And then, as you maybe already spotted, I also placed a ghoul in this room, because in the movies and in the books, they have a ghoul living in the attic at the Burrow. So I felt like I had to represent that by sizing up this ghost gnome and just kind of placing it in the corner. I know this isn't technically an attic because there's bedrooms here. That being said though, isn't Ron's bedroom originally described to be in the attic? I'm not exactly sure how that works, but they have a ghoul in the attic, and I felt like I had to represent that. And then the last bedroom here, I feel like belonged to Percy, also maybe probably to Bill and Percy at some point, or Charlie and Percy, I'm not exactly sure, but we have Percy's old bedroom here, kind of, and then it's currently being used as storage. We have a clothing rack that I was thinking holds that dress robe, those dress robes that Ron received that look and smell like Aunt Tessie. If you know, you know. I felt like we had to represent that. So I have a little clothing rack here in this last bedroom as well to kind of pretend that that's where the dress robes are being stored. And then that's actually it for the speed build. So let's jump into the game and I'll show you the burrow in real time. So here we have the burrow in the game. I think it looks so fun, very inviting, very whimsical. I feel like this lot is actually perfect for this specific build. I feel like it looks very similar to like the vibes that it has in the movies and described to have in the books. So yeah, this is what I went with. We have a bunch of critters here, which is also really cute. We have some bunnies hopping around. I placed this bunny home here, like the rabbit home. So we just have a bunch of bunnies just kind of hopping around in general. We have some ducks in the pond as well. Clearly I had to also hide a few gnomes in here. So we have some gnomes in the pond. We have a rubber ducky in the pond, a bunch of fish. Over here, of course, we have that round garage and the Ford Anglia as well. When you follow this pathway here, we also have a magical well. I just thought that this one from Life and Death was perfect. Obviously, the little Quidditch area here, a garden in the back where I pre-planted some things. So if you actually download this build off the gallery, it'll have some stuff planted here that I thought looked cute. We have some chickens in the back and then another little pond here with some white duckies, and this little pathway around the house kind of leads you to the back door here. So in the garage, we just have a little bit of storage and then some skill building items. We have an extra cauldron, a bunch of these storage things. Yes, I did use a couple of items from Batu in this build, only a few though, so if you don't have Batu, you won't be missing a lot. But I thought some of these items, for example, this shelf, they were just so perfect. We have a woodworking bench and then a gemology table in here. And then over here is the front door leading you into the burrow. So let's go inside. Inside, we just have this very cozy living room. As you can see, it's very, very cluttered. We have this makeshift fireplace that I will just show you is completely functional. You can kind of see the fireplace itself over here. I tried to kind of disguise it as a wood log. It doesn't really look like one, but at least this way it's visible. So I'll have my sim come on over here. If she wants to listen to me, that is. I don't think she does. Well, you'll have to walk then. Thank you. Okay, can you please put out the fireplace? See, there she goes. It's all functional. She can put it out and then she can also light it again. There she goes. And it's so cute. We have some floating candles in here as well that are just so classic. Okay, you can leave now. Thank you. So yeah, that's the fireplace. We just have this coffee table here with a bunch of knickknacks. I used this jar of candy to kind of represent the every flavor beans. I thought that was cute. We have some chess, of course, here, a rubber ducky, and Arthur maybe journaling about the findings of the function of a rubber duck. I'm not exactly sure, but I thought that was cute. We also have a few jars of flu powder here in the corner, and then just a bunch of random magical looking knickknacks. There's a small desk here. I also put a radio. Maybe that's nice. I feel like Molly likes music and like listening to the radio in general, so I thought that was cute. We have some more chess here, actual functional chess. Over on this side is another small desk. It's kind of not functional because I placed a different like armchair here, and like I said a million times, just a bunch of little random clutter items. A bookcase here, there is a piano as well. And then through this door, actually also through this archway over here. So there's two ways to kind of enter the other part of the house where we have the kitchen and dining. Over here is a small potions area. I love that in live mode, you can kind of see these like fumes coming out of them. They're kind of animated that way. It's so cute. Perfect for this house, if you ask me. This is where the staircases kind of start, sort of like in the middle of the house. And then over here is the kitchen. Of course, we have to have a cauldron in the kitchen, but then this is that classic dining room setup, an 8-seater dining table in this case with all mismatched chairs and just a bunch of random stuff on the table. The kitchen has a lot of mismatched little cabinets and stuff, and also a lot of clutter. We have some self-cleaning dishes in here. There's some food here in the window, a stove here, and then of course a self-sweeping broom on the floor here. Not sure why there's a bucket of water there, but I just like that item, so I placed it there. There's a back door here, and then also just a storage area here and a gemology table. Then off of the kitchen here is a small full bathroom, so that's nice for gameplay purposes. Then going upstairs, we have this really tiny landing with another another staircase going up. And then this is Arthur's and Molly's room. I love this bedroom. I think it's so cozy. I love the colors. I love this wallpaper. The bed is so pretty. But yeah, it kind of speaks for itself. They have their wardrobe and mirror here. A very big fireplace, which definitely looks super cozy in this room. Then going up another flight of stairs is where we have the children's bedrooms for the most part. So there's a small landing here with some art and just some random items here. So let's get started on this side with the twins' bedroom, which is definitely a science lab. They have some bunk beds here, but then the rest of their bedroom is dedicated to inventing prank candy, basically. So they have the cupcake machine here, which I thought was so perfect. Just the way it looks is just perfect for that. A bunch of books maybe for their research. They have some candy in jars up on shelves. There's just a whole bunch of mess basically in this room. They have some science thingies here. I thought this children's science table was also perfect for this room. It's not functional because it's only functional for children, but still, I thought it looked nice. Over here is Ginny's bedroom, which is just so girly and pink compared to the other rooms, which is exactly what I wanted. So it's only very small, but she has her desk here with a little journal, a dresser with a mirror, and then a bed, of course, and then some posters as well. A sports-related poster because Ginny is also very much into Quidditch. Over here is a small bathroom, which just has a shower, but is fully functional. And then this over here is Ron's bedroom. And Harry is definitely staying over at the moment. So yeah, there's a bunch of Quidditch-related stuff in his room, just sports related stuff really, but let's imagine it's Quidditch. A bunch of school books next to his bed, and just, it's very messy in here, very Ron coded, I want to say. Another one of those suitcases. It's just the trunk that they take to Hogwarts, okay? We have some of those chocolate frogs around, or they're actually gold frogs, but you know what I mean. And then the sad little owl family in a cage, but I had to represent the owls somehow, you know, so this is what I came up with. It's so sad. Then going upstairs, we have 2 extra bedrooms, one of them being completely just used for storage at the moment. This used to be Charlie's room. You can tell by the random little dragons that I have in this room. This is where the ghoul lives. So we have a ghoul in the attic and then just a bunch of knickknacks. And then this room up here belonged to Percy, at some point probably also to Bill. Percy used it last, but Percy also moved out, so it's also now a little bit of a storage room, as you can tell. But yeah, that is actually it for the Burrow. So the Burrow is up on the gallery. It is by no means a limited pack build. I used anything and everything I could find to resemble the Wizarding World somehow. So yeah, a lot of packs were used. It's also very expensive because there's just a lot of items in this house. It comes in at just over 171,000 simoleons, and I built it on a 50 by 40 in the world of Henford on Bagley on the 2 Old Mill Lane lot. So if you want to place it in your game, then that's where it goes. But that's going to do it for today's video. So I really hope that you enjoyed this one. You can obviously go ahead and download this build off the gallery like I just showed you. My username on the gallery is Simmary Sims. You can follow me on Instagram and on TikTok if you'd like. My username on there is Simmary Sims as well. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, feel free to do so. And if you'd like to get notified of every single time I upload a video, just click that little bell icon and you should be fine. I also live stream over on Twitch a few times a week. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and give me a follow over on twitch.tv/Simmary Sims. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!